Good morning, and this is the crypto day morning. Today's date is that of Tuesday, the 27th of November, 2018. All bets, trades, and of the like within one's own risk and their own reward. I'm not going to cover much about Bitcoin in this morning's video. I talked about it last night, and not much has changed within the Bitcoin price as it continues to stay well below the 18 average of lows. Within the single hour time frame, and rather 3 hour time frame is the one I wanted to talk about. I was talking about the 18 average of lows. It's still resisting within that area, so everything that I talk about really still in place, still at a standstill for such. So let's take a look at three altcoins. The three that I sold through the night within my buy low, sell high strategy, which would be that of XEM, CLOAK, and I have to pause the tape because I forgot. Chainlink. No, I didn't have to pause it. So those are the three that were sold. So let's start off within XEM. Now I sold it against Binance Coin. As another leg higher comes into play, as we can see, it was down towards this 100 handle, now at 150. But I'm going to focus this mainly against that of Bitcoin. But we can see within this on the daily time frame, it broke this major level of resistance at about the 14 and a third handle. And I want to first show it crossed on the Binance exchange. As within such, we can see that on the daily chart, the price action had a move establishing this level of resistance at about the 1952 handle. Has managed to come back to where it came from. Now the reason why Binance Coin Cross is doing better is because it's been doing worse against Bitcoin lately. But it had this run from the 18 average of highs after the correctionary move, spending about 5-6 days within the level after first appearing there on November the 14th. But look at the fast move that occurred. We'll look at this more short term. But 1945 all the way down to 1540. So you have this move, a lower high move, but that's okay because the 18 average is rising as long as this doesn't give in. It didn't even flatten, so obviously breaking through such today, very much a productive situation on the single hour time frame. Let's do the 3 because I want to see that move a little bit better. There we can see it in here, one fast candle, nice little grinding its way higher, finishing it through, but nice little move, a little overextended right now. This is a situation of trading that I don't like. A spot where you got a nice bullish setup where it looks like it's going to go higher. You're at previous high, which is right in here, and you've already come from a good gain. Because what are we going to do now? Are we at the point where we could just keep shooting higher? And I think very easily it could because of the situation and how it looks on the daily. But this could very bullishly come back to where it came from at this 1800 handle, 1820. Meet up within the 18 average, maybe come down to 1860, and all those to me are maybes. But from this situation in here, I'm very curious if there are pullbacks down to the mid 18 level. So let's take a look at this again on the daily chart from Binance Exchange. Let's now change this over to the Poloniex exchange. And the move that occurred on the November the 12th was a little bit higher. And when I say a little bit higher, it was a lot more than a little bit higher, going up an additional 10% or more within its move. Well, that's because on this particular site, there were big buying at that exact time frame of the 5, 10 minute, 15 minute peak period. There would have been some larger buys come in here. It could have been a case of one very, very quick buy. But let's just take a look at this now in multiple time frames because I got more data within Poloniex than I would within that of the Binance. And amongst this is down quite a bit from its 2018 highs, which is in near that of 14,000, and here we stand at 1900. So it's been down a lot within this long-term time frame. The 3-day, The big decline occurred in here, price action well below, and we can see it continue to have a fall along move. You could have said in here that it was down so much. Well, it went down more. First shot at resistance, it did just that, but at this point, it didn't break support. So it held the 18, got above the 18, established a huge layer of resistance at around 47, but it never did even attempt to get above it. And then roughly around this period in here, May 13th, 14th, starting to grind its way lower, and it continued to do such with one resistance test on July at this point. And then things changed around September 19th. The market went very sideways and is now having a test to break the downtrend / neutral trend and establish that of an uptrend when price action can have big moves above the 18 and start rising rather than going down or sideways. But a lot of potential for the large gains. And when we take a look at this on the weekly term time frame, definitely the logarithmic scale does not do justice on this chart, but we can see 261 was this low back in 2016 and it rallied to 2600. That was a 10x move. In 2017, this was a huge move from the near the start of the year lows of 340 going up to about 14,000. So that's about a 30x move. And then from this low here at 1,000, that's about a 15x move. So a lot of big moves. Are we setting up for a fourth 10x plus move? If that's the case, this would have to go back to previous high because the move was a 10x decline. About that, yes, 1275 I can see as a low. So it would have to go back to the previous level. And in a situation of that nature, it brings, and it's a long ways away, of course, but if price action were to get up here, interesting spot. Would it be a key level resistance? Could it hold somewhere around the key area, somewhere around probably, I would have, because this log scale, somewhere around 4,600. Could it hold that? Because it's not log scale. I'm looking at price action. Normally I'd be looking at this area here, but again, the log on this would not be correct. So there we have NEM. So I'll be very interested to see today as it's showing the the story of the market is leaving the 18 average of highs within a bullish correctionary move on the 18 after it had an amazing gain on November the 12th. Let's take a look next at the coin CLOAK. And since I started trading this on Binance, which would have been roughly around here July 1st at around the 64,000 Satoshi handle, I'm up. The price is down 50%, but I'm up. And when we have the moves that will occur here, just a few days ago, that was beautiful. Yesterday, and even a little bit for today, since I was able to sell at 3,500. I could have sold higher, but didn't. As we take a look at this, as it plays out, it's still in this downtrend, trying to have some of these moves, but having sell orders in place, being able to buy them back, part of the game. Single hour time frame. This is the extent of these kinds of moves. Here we have it yesterday in the morning. The price is 27,000 and it rallies up to 43. So therefore about a 75% move, which was almost as good as the previous one. 4,300 back down to 2,950. Back up to 3,600 and change, now back down to 32. So we got the 18 average correctionary move so far succeeding on this move. Because after the big large decline, after the big rally, it held and stayed above the 18 average of lows. And I said it that type of form because I say it all the time, hold and stay, it's got to hold and stay above something. This is where I want to see it hold and stay above the 18 lows. And even though it had some time below it, it couldn't stay below it. Obviously, this didn't hold and stay above the 18 average of highs, this move here. But it's now staying within it. 18's rising. Any type of momentum breaking above 33.50, 33.90, this thing has the potential to have some significant gains moving forward. But this could very easily be a failed move, breaking through, come back down here, maybe show little to no support at 27,000 and maybe go down an additional 20-30% or something of that nature. That could easily happen as well, especially if Bitcoin has a move where it goes to and maybe tests and breaks the 3,000 number. But as this plays out, definitely has the potential. And then, of course, the last move in here. This is where in the deep morning it was 28,000. On the breakout level is 31, and then fast move up to the 54. Basically close to double from the low, the big low and the big high. Let's take a look at this, both of these moves on a more shorter term time frame. And we'll use the 1 minute time frame and look at the three moves, the one that just recently happened. 3:37 in the morning, down yada yada, doing nothing. Breaking out at 3:58, topping at 4:08. A 10-minute move going from 31.90 to 36.50 and change. Well, decently over 10%, and it gave it all back. So it's like a blowout, didn't happen. But if you sold up there, and I sold up here, it did happen. So now what I'll do to look at the previous move, I'm just going to scroll this and go to the fact, and this is the one from before yesterday. So in this situation in here, it was just hanging in there at the 2800. Huge move, one correctionary play, huge move, another big correctionary play. So when you look at the opportunities for trading, especially very short term, you have this play where it goes up and back down. You have this one in here with sell opportunities, buy opportunities. We have this one. And then we have, of course, what worked out to be the final one. But all of these situations in here can make it so that in down markets you can still profit within these sort of moves, as long as you get enough of them. And, of course, price action doesn't continuously go straight down. Okay, so there we go. So that's that move. So then let's take a look at this next one, because it was a straight up beauty. Although, when I say beauty, not for short-term traders that has moves like that where they can get a whole bunch of buybacks along the way. Because in here it's just doing like a bunch of whatever. Look at the volatility, like 10% from the highest and lowest point at this point. And it should load pretty soon. It didn't take too long when I did this in chess before. Here's a little bit of a move here, but this isn't that move though. This was a post move, 3,200 going up to 3,700. And this is the move here. So we can see that it gave it all back. And it was just instant. Here we have the low 31. Here we have a high of 54. And then this 1 minute alone, just big moves that can happen extremely fast. But if you happen to just be away, say for example, you leave at this time, oh, what's the price? 33,000. And then you check back, oh, what's the price? 33,000. You can see all these sell orders hidden. Oh, cool. Buy kind of deal is what is available to you when this happens. And this happens with a lot of different coins over and over again. CLOAK has had a lot of good both short-term and long-term moves like this, which is why I'm a big fan of swing trading this particular coin. Let's now finish this off, and we'll do so within Chainlink. And it's a very interesting coin, a chart rather. When you look at multiple time frames, just a little, or one's close to another, meaning here we have the 3-hour time frame, which had this decent sized decline going from close to 10,000 down to 64. And amongst it, as far as getting above the 18, it attempted to do so up in here, and not much fell through. Had a little bit of a try in this little part in here around 82. Again, decent size fall, but now a decent large gain above it, not resisting this key area at around 74.65. So what happens when you don't support or resist this area you're supposed to? A fast move to the next level. So continuation, next level, this level of previous resistance, exactly where so far it has, but it's been very little resistance. This market is at an interesting situation. Coming back down to the 18 would be very, very curious again if the price is able to fall down to about the 7,200 handle. But when we look at this on a single hour time frame, it's not, it's at the point where, okay, 18 average of highs test has been there for a while, and its 18 average of lows is steadily rising at 75. Maybe that's an area where support could come in, but lifting from here, it hasn't. It's still due to have a decent sized break from this point because we see short-term correction. Now we'll take a look at this via the daily and 3-day chart because it's very interesting amongst here, because what has happened is the trend lines, any trend lines you have drawn amongst this short gain has broke. However, if we and I'm just going to put this in, I haven't drawn this yet before, but this trend line, of course, had succeeded. Okay. The price action, however, is resisting the 18 average, and it did break through. So one of the things that I look for in reversal of trends after many legs higher, and this has had a leg higher up to here, 1, 2, 3, 4, a bunch of moves higher, is for price action of a steady decline below the 18, resist it, and start to come lower from that point. So if weakness comes in around 7,000, then this thing has the potential to maybe go below 5,000. But when we look at this on a 3-day term, this is a pretty interesting situation in here, because a lot of up and down, awesome choppy action. That's the stuff I'm looking for as a trader, when you can go from 12,000 down to 1,600 up to close to 10. Nice little up and down moves along the way as it goes down to 36, up move up to 63, and all of these up and down moves. I mean, these are awesome moves for buying low, selling high, as I've talked about within the channel. But if this is able to get above this 18 average of highs as this plays through, you start seeing price action at around 89.91, and obviously holding and staying above 65, of course. Then that gives you an interesting situation, breaking out above this level of resistance, this open resistance on the Binance market. I don't have data from beforehand if this was traded on some other exchange, but definitely has the potential to go for superior gains when looking at it via this perspective. It's been in a very beautiful uptrend since the summer lows at the 26 level, and a lot of these coins have potential for double-digit gains, 10, 20, even over 100x moves. So we'll see how this one is poised as we continue to move on. But for now, like I say, if you see the movements getting above there, don't be surprised if this thing really takes off, and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.